Episode 10 begins in South America, where Jermaine and Kat arrive at the town, only to find it eerily empty. They recognize Shanghai Palace from their photo and head inside, but it's empty. After hearing some noise in the back, they rush to the kitchen, just in time to see some men speeding away in a van. Back in the hotel, Janet visits Joe in his room. He confesses that he remembers everything and wants to talk, but she brushes it off, saying it's not a big deal. Even though, Janet, it's kind of a big deal. Joe, however, insists that he's put them all in danger and tries to warn the others, but they ignore him. Right on cue, the elevator doors open, and out steps Liam Ulrich, introducing himself as the new manager. He secures the stairs and greets Joe by name, saying it's been a while. After Ulrich leaves, Joe admits he knew him and thought he was dead because Joe had killed him. Ulrich returns later and announces some changes. Joe asks if they're planning to flush the town, but Ulrich dismisses his concern and activates security shields, locking the place down. He casually mentions there's a complimentary gift in each room and suggests they take advantage of room service before leaving. Joe then explains to the others that he shot Ulrich 3 times in the chest and even gave him the last rites. They quickly realize Joe is a priest. He tells them about a fortune he once received, claiming he could go free if he killed his neighbor. When asked if he followed through, Joe warns that in situations like this, results matter more than success or failure. He also explains that if experiment gets corrupted, their captors might flush the town, meaning all the captives would be terminated. Meanwhile, Jermaine and Kat, still hiding, watch as men in blue coveralls arrive with body bags entering the fake town. Back at the hotel, the captives find gift-wrapped boxes in their rooms, each containing a personal item. Chadwick Boseman gets a leather belt, Moira receives a scarf, Erica finds a photo of her son Anton, and Cameron gets a newspaper article about an SEC investigation into his embezzlement after he disappeared. Except the story continues on page 14, and there is no page 14. Bill finds a football and an obituary in his box, detailing the death of his old football coach. Bill admits to Cameron that the coach made his life hell growing up, but he triumphed by scoring the winning touchdown. In her room, Janet discovers her gift, Miss Winston, her childhood stuffed bunny. Great, now Miss Winston is a captive. Hope you're fond of Moo Goo Gai Pan, Miss Winston. Joe, after staring at his box for a while, finally opens it to reveal his Bible, complete with photos from his time in South America. One of the pictures shows a South American woman. Ulrich walks in and reveals that the director is interested in Janet, and his job is to bring her through the process. He warns Joe not to interfere and makes it clear, if Joe tries anything, he'll end up dead. Later, as Joe reads his Bible, Janet walks in and confesses she can't figure him out. Joe explains he was taken while giving communion, but had lost his way long before that, failing to live up to his vow of obedience. Janet asks if he's celibate, and Joe confirms that he is, which Janet finds fascinating. Just then, Ulrich enters with room service. Carnitas, his favorite. He casually brings up Gabriella and picks up the photo from Joe's Bible. This triggers Janet and she storms out, leaving Joe one lonely carnita fiesta. As night falls in South America, Jermaine and Kat watch as the men in blue return, bringing in stretchers. Kat freaks out, thinking they're going to die, but Jermaine assures he'll get them out alive. Back in the hotel, Ulrich serves Bill a rare T-bone and a bottle of red wine, and Bill, mid-bite, wonders if this is his last supper. Ulrich brushes off the concern and tells him management sees potential in him. Before leaving, Bill asks if Ulrich can track down the missing half of Cameron's newspaper, and Ulrich agrees to look into it. Moira, feeling sentimental, shows Chadwick Boseman her scarf. Chadwick admits his gift is a belt, specifically the belt his mother used to beat him with as a child. He shares how, at 14, he finally snapped, took the belt, and used it on her before running away. Ulrich pays Erica a visit, but she's not having it and warns him she can't be bought. He reassures her that Anton, her son, is doing well because he's her son, and reveals her real name is Teresa, and Erica was her cellmate back in the Clinkback when she was surrounded by dementors and only had gruel to eat. Later, Cameron runs into Ulrich, who hands him the missing half of the newspaper article, courtesy of Bill. As Cameron reads it, he discovers that the investigation into him wound down and he was never linked to embezzlement. Relieved, Cameron thanks Ulrich, who cryptically suggests they helped hide evidence tying Cameron to the crime. Ulrich's next stop is Janet's room, where the TV suddenly flickers on, showing footage of a young Janet running into a closet as her parents argue. Ulrich, ever the cold observer, tells her that management has been watching her for a long time and believes in her potential. He leaves, then checks in with the director, informing her that all the participants have been sedated. She regrets the extreme measures, but Ulrich assures her it'll be quick and painless. Everyone in the hotel is knocked out cold. Jermaine and Kat sneak around as the men in blue deposit body bags at the bank. Jermaine, undeterred, insists they investigate. Inside, they find 7 stretchers with bodies they don't recognize. They notice their thumbs had been cut off, probably to prevent them from hitchhiking home. None of them are Janet. One of the corpses suddenly springs to life and attacks Jermaine. It turns out to be Stefano, who claims he followed them there, which is really hard to process. The next morning, the captives wake up groggy. Cameron finds Bill, who's now taken up jogging, and offers to join him. They head down to breakfast together, Cameron noting that Bill's leg seems to be healing surprisingly well. They go off to breakfast together. Joe, already on edge, rushes to find Janet. Ulrich casually informs him she went down to breakfast. Once Joe leaves, Ulrich grabs Janet's stuffed bunny, clearly up to something. Everyone's at the restaurant, so it's a mystery what Ulrich and the director were going on about. Janet tries to apologize to Erica, but Erica won't forgive her, saying Janet's mistake was choosing Joe over the rest of them. Janet admits she may have been wrong, and Erica invites her to sit. Joe interrupts, but Janet brushes him off, and when he keeps pushing, Erica tells him to leave so they can eat their breakfast in peace. From the looks of it, it's a continental breakfast, so clearly the kitchen has changed things up. The men in blue search through the buildings, even though we didn't see anything that would have tipped them off. Jermaine, Kat, and Stefano ambush them, steal a jeep, and flee while being shot at. Later in the town square, Moira confides in Chadwick Boseman that her scarf belonged to her mother, who did nothing while Moira was abused by her father. Moira admits she strangled both of them in their sleep. Chadwick comforts her, saying they no longer need to run from their past. Stefano jumps out of the jeep to find his car, but not before giving his precious box of thumbs to Kat. Soon he's captured and tasered by the men in blue. At the hotel, Janet gets a frantic call from her mother, Eleanor, who apologizes for past wrongs. Janet, unsure if it was real, confronts Ulrich, who insists it was genuine, and says Janet has come a long way. He promises to always be at her service. Ulrich later Skypes with the director to tell her everything is on track, but that Joe is still a liability, to which the director stresses Joe's importance to the program. After the call, Ulrich lingers, touching the screen showing Janet's face. So there you have it. Joe's learning that apologies don't get you a seat at the breakfast table. We learn there's more than one ghost town out there, and that Ulrich might be catching feelings for Janet, which is a total HR violation. Meanwhile, Jermaine and Kat are still playing Dodge the Men in Blue, and Chadwick Boseman's helping Moira unpack some seriously heavy baggage. Looks like the program's tightening its grip, but things are far from over.